Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Today we're talking about senior housing. Please welcome my next guest is Ernie Anaya. He's VP with Healthcare Real Estate Services with Bull Realty. He's joining us here in Studio One. Ernie, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Ernie, it seems like some people would think from the outside looking into the senior housing industry that all the baby boomers are a pretty big group of people and they're getting older, but I guess they're not quite old enough yet, are they, to really be going into senior housing? When do you expect the demand for senior housing to peak?
Well, I think that if you look at right now the statistics, since 2012, 10,000 baby boomers turned 65 every day, and that will continue for the next 19 years. But that group becomes more the adult children. In reality, the baby boomers will not hit 80 years old until they're 2026. So 10 years from now, and that's where the boom is going to begin.
I see. And there was some discussion before that you heard from our guest, and talked about the opportunities maybe in that middle market. The high-income properties, they'll do well, and the low-income people, well, maybe they'll get some subsidies. But so how can investors or developers maybe think about working within this middle market to take advantage of this need?
That's one of the biggest problems in the market today. That segment of the industry is not being really addressed very well. So there's two ways to do that. One is that investment tax credits through HUD, they have the ability to put these programs together where they can actually sell 75% of the cost of the projects to Wall Street, and that allows you to have a loan-to-value of 30% for the construction loan, plus you get subsidies from HUD. So that's one way, and that's one way that people are looking at it. But in another way, as the product in the market ages, and the mean in certain areas is 17 years old for properties, those properties could actually be sold right now when the market is hot, and maybe start kind of moving it into more of the middle sector, because as those populations ages or the product ages, is going to put downward pressure on both occupancy and rates, because you want to go into a place that looks like a nursing home for your mother, or you want to put them in the Marriott. so that's a big difference.
That's right. And I guess if you decide, well, I like this sector so much, I know I've got aging product, but so maybe I'll just try to turn it into a Marriott. Yeah, what's involved there?
Well, that's new development. And some of the things that you can also retrofit, but one of the problems is, let's say that you have two wings for an assisted living facility. Well, if you're going to retrofit it and try to turn it into a Marriott, what you're going to do with half of your residents, because you're going to probably do one wing at a time. Mm-hmm. That's going to be problematic, because you're going to have to empty that wing, and you're going to lose a lot of revenue. So those are catch-22s right now.
That's interesting. So you may want to think about, we want to CapEx and then lose those kind of customers, or maybe sell that product and build new, because by the time the baby boomers create that big demand, you don't want to have that really old product, do you?
No, you don't. And you really want, if you look at right now what they're looking for new product, is actually something that looks like a hotel. Yeah. You have the lobby, the concierge, the services, the amenities. You have a theater, you have a swimming pool for physical therapy and things of that nature. So when you bring in your parents, they don't think, oh, they're putting me in a nursing home. Mm-hmm. I'm going to a resort instead.
Right.
But you have to build it, it's new product built.
Yeah. Well, I think, was it Beth that just said that they're going to have a bar in the one I go to?
Well, cheers.
Cheers. So is it time to sell? So how much demand is there right now for these various types of senior housing properties from investors?
As you can see, the demand is so high that we're seeing between, if a property comes to market that is investment grade with high occupancy in the 90% range, we're seeing between 6 and 12 offers in 2 or 3 rounds. So it's very, very competitive.
Right, that's interesting. So what if you have maybe a B property, or a property that's not institutional quality? There's still investors for that, and what kind of demand and cap rates are you seeing?
Even smaller properties and B properties are still very much in demand. One of the biggest trends right now is memory care, and there could be probably a 30 to 40 unit facility and still be in hot demand in the same way.
And what type of cap rates are you seeing in the market?
Basically what we're seeing is that the cap rates are going around high 6 and inching a little bit about 7.1, 7.2 and beginning to stabilize a little bit. And the reason for the stabilization of the cap rates is that it kind of mirrors the treasury rates as well.
Yeah. So it looks like you get a pretty good return on these properties if you can find the right one with the right operator in place, or if you are an operator, right?
Correct, especially if you have a very strong NOI, the cap rate is definitely going to give you a big return.
Yeah, okay. Well, I want to get some more information from you about tips for owners, tips for investors, and some ways to capitalize in this sector and where we are right now in the cycle. So stay with us. We'll have more on senior housing. I'm Michael Bull. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. We'll be right back. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by First Service Solutions, the CMBS Borrower Advocate. Visit 1stsss.com. Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Today we're talking senior housing with Ernie Anaya. He's VP of Healthcare Real Estate Services with Bull Realty. And Ernie, I think a lot of people are concerned in most sectors around the country, most commercial real estate sectors, are where we are in the cycle. Where are we in the cycle in senior housing, or does it really matter in your sector?
What cycle? That's the way I call it.
Yeah.
The thing about the senior housing is that it's cycle proof, and the reason for it is that the demand. Out of 40 million seniors, there's only 732,000 residents in assisted living today. So that tells you the type of demand. So one of the things from an investor perspective that our clients could do is really to diversify their portfolio in commercial real estate and add more senior housing to prevent down cycles or to hedge against down cycles.
That's a good idea. So diversify your portfolio. So if a down cycle does hurt your other assets, maybe this one's pretty, well,
Correct.
it has been proven to be pretty stable, right?
Yes, it has been.
What about tips for operators?
The biggest tip that I can give an operator is to modernize their facilities, bring it up to date, but also to automate different tasks, to improve, adopt software. For instance, one of the biggest referral sources for assisted living is referrals from medical providers. So they're looking at their rate of readmissions to hospitals for Medicare patients, because if you readmitted within 30 days, you lose reimbursement. So they're asking assisted living facilities, show me your rates. So if you have the ability to adopt electronic health records and then integrate that into ERP, which is Enterprise Resource Planning, and be able to manage the function from dining to dieting to taking care of that patient, and also you're modernizing your facilities, you'll definitely be lowering your cost of operation, but also attracting more residents.
That's a great idea and good tip for operations. And what about a real estate tip for operators? Is there anything they might want to think about in this cycle?
For the operators, I would look at the age of their facilities, and also look at an opportunity to bring in infusions of cash by maybe looking at a sale leaseback if they own the facility. That could help them modernize their place, but also stay in, be competitive in the marketplace.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. So they sell the property to an investor, brokers like you do that. Then they have a very long-term control of that asset as if they owned it, but they had a fistful of cash to modernize it or do whatever with, right?
That's correct.
And what type of demand are you seeing if you've got a strong operator and a 15 or 20 year lease? You've seen a lot of demand from investors. What kind of cap rate might someone expect to get out of that property?
So there's a ton of demand for that. That's one of the biggest motivators for investors to get into this market is the cap rates. So what we're seeing right now is about high 6% caps, but it's beginning to inch a little bit towards the 7, and we're beginning to see the market stabilize a little bit because of the inching a little bit of the trade or the treasury rates.
Okay, so might be time if you're an operator to consider modernizing. If you don't want to put the money in the property, maybe consider selling it, and then I guess you can tell them what the property will bring based on how long the lease they want, right? So if they want to lease it back and control it for 10 years, or maybe they want to do it for 20 years, that's a big difference in value, right?
Yeah, it's no difference from multifamily. I mean, if you have a property that is aging, I mean, your rents are going to go lower, your occupancy is going to go lower, so you need to invest in that property with your capex and then restoring it or modernizing it. And if you do that, you're keeping the price higher for valuation purposes.
Yeah, well, it'll be a good consideration with the interest rates as low as they are now. But when will it go up? Well, we don't know. They might go up soon. They might go up gradually.
The time to buy is today.
Okay, Ernie, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you being here in Studio One.
Well, thank you for having me, Michael.
And thanks for joining us out there on all the radio stations around the country, YouTube, the show website, and iTunes. Be sure and join us next week. We're going to talk about office tenant strategies. Until next week, be sure that you lead, learn, and laugh, and join us for the Commercial Real Estate Show.